Welcome to the Rob and Kale podcast. Rob Sanders.
Some would be entertained by it. Some would be horrified by
Kale Carolina Jackpot Hall.
All would be interested in it.
The Rob and Kale podcast.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Rob and Kale podcast. I'm Rob Sanders. I'm not ashamed. As we roll along, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting closer and closer to football season every week. NFL draft is in the books. We'll talk about that tonight. Jackpot said something on a video today that made me go, We'll talk about that and a lot of other great things this evening.
Things that make you go,
Exactly. My podcast co-host is the best damn Gamecock YouTuber on the planet. There are many that try, and a lot of them fail. He is Mr. Carolina Jackpot, Kale Hall. Kale, what's up, buddy?
Rob, what is going on tonight? We're back like we never left. Hope everyone out there is doing well tonight. Got some folks already in the chat. Brock Lee, Gator Tooth Jones, Papa B, Gamecock, Chuck, Will Eubanks. I pack yo lunch. Ooh, good evening. Bulldog JC ST. What's going on, guys? Bulldog JC in the house. Stingray. Big Barney Ross, Billy Cole, Paul Lemon. Weren't you in the Beatles?
Yeah.
And yes, I do have.
Well,
I have a Rutgers long sleeve shirt on tonight, but I can.
What Jackpot likes to go and hang out with the Rutgers folks. You've been to a game up there, right?
I have. They had their spring game yesterday. I saw the replay on it just a few minutes ago. It went right down to the wire. It did. They actually wore the mushroom. Come here. With the thing on their helmets. They wore all of them wore the mushroom the entire game. I haven't seen anybody else do that.
Matt,
Greg Schiano, he's all about safety. He is, I tell you.
Of course he is. Matt, thanks for the super chat. He says he loves us and he likes your pullover, Jackpot. Very good.
Thank you,
There's
sir.
an appearance by Ziggy. Hello, Ziggy.
Hello.
As
There's
Ziggy
Ziggy's
walks
butt.
in. Ziggy's butt. Yeah. All right. So I'll tell you what. We got to thank Callaway's for sponsoring the show. Those guys are awesome. Go by and check them out. West Columbia, Highway 1, diagonal from the Walmart. We also have I got to get into what Jackpot was talking about today with the Spencer Rattler stuff. And Jackpot said this in his video today. Spencer Rattler drafted in the 5th round by the New Orleans Saints. So Jackpot says, hey, you should go do your research. They didn't do their research on Spencer Rattler. And I thought about that for a second.
Something's wrong with your audio. Yeah,
all right, that should have fixed it.
Your Popcorn Jones over there.
All right, there you go. I think it should be better now. All right. Okay. Anyway, so I thought about it, and so I did the research because I wanted to be fair. And when I really stop and look at it, Spencer Rattler has an ungodly arm. I think we all can agree upon that. He does have some issues with decision making where he tries to fit balls into windows that he has no business throwing them in there too. His combine numbers were, let's be honest, were hot dog water. He was the slowest quarterback to run at the combine, finished in the bottom half or bottom third in all the agility drills and everything else. But if we take all of that out, okay, and we step back and we look at it, I think the reason that Spencer Rattler got drafted is because he chose to go to South Carolina, or he got drafted where he was because he chose to go to South Carolina. And I'm not knocking the Gamecock program, but the NFL people, when they look at South Carolina, they don't look at you as a university that puts out great quarterbacks. It's the first time in 34 years that a quarterback has been taken in the draft from South Carolina. Maybe they look. Yeah. I mean, you just don't put out those guys. Not saying you don't put out NFL talent. You have great defensive backs. You can make an argument that you are one of the best defensive back generators in the country.
Yeah,
you put out great.
They do that. They'll put a wide receiver in the league every so often.
Right.
And they'll have some insignificant draft picks who do some really good things. I mean, did you think at this point in 2024, when you're watching football in 2019, do you think Rico Dowdle would be scoring touchdowns for the Dallas Cowboys?
No, I didn't. And I'm not making this where I'm pissing on the Gamecocks here. I'm just saying, in the NFL people's mind, they don't look to South Carolina for a great quarterback. Now, the other stuff that you were talking about in your video, where it's like the QB1 stuff and the stuff that he said, look, maybe the way he delivered it, because I remember watching that show. I went back and pulled up some of the clips from it.
Let me ask you this. How many quarterbacks does UNC put in the league?
Mitch Trubisky was the last one. I mean, within the last 10 years, say Trubisky, who hadn't really played well, but he's a backup on somebody's roster.
The popcorn fart, yeah.
Right, but and I'm not, and people are thinking I'm just saying this because I'm the Clemson guy on the show. I'm just saying with these executives, they look at it and they're thinking, man, this guy went to South Carolina. First of all, what was the reason that he ended up there? Why did he go from Oklahoma to there? But the idea that it was just the QB1 show, to me, is silly. Sam Howell's another one. Thank you, Gamecock Chuck. But the reality is that it comes down to this. The stuff that he said on that show may not have been the tone that you wanted, but you want your guy to get in somebody's ass if they're not blocking for him, right? I mean, am I wrong on that, Jack?
I said that. I mean, the things that he said, I mean, they weren't lies. I mean, he chose to go about it the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. But he seemed to remedy that, and apparently all the coaches and everything else. But here's the other thing, and I think that this needs to be said. The idea of, hey, I'm an NFL executive. Do I really want to go and try to get the opinion of Shane Beamer The guy who's bitching about hot dogs and kicking water coolers and crying in press conferences.
Those type of people laugh at him. I doubt they even call him. That's
what I'm saying. Why would I call this crying bitch?
Too, they probably have more respect. Those type of people, they probably called Lincoln Riley for advice about Spencer Rattler now than they would have called Shane Beamer. Even though he hadn't coached him in fucking 2 years, 3 years.
I personally think that Spencer Rattler I think he's better than Bo Nix. If he has the offensive line, he's got better arm talent than Bo Nix does. He's better than Michael Penix Jr. because that guy is a walking medical report. And, we could talk about J.J. McCarthy. I think a lot of that comes back to a lot of these NFL folks they are dyed in the wool. We want nothing but Big Ten motherfuckers till the end of time.
Well,
and they'll draft.
Despite the cheating shit and all that, he played for Harbaugh, and Harbaugh's known for being a pretty good quarterback developer and a former NFL coach and an offensive mind. J.J. McCarthy is a system quarterback. He probably is a little bit more athletic than Rattler, but someone in the comment section on the video said McCarthy would have been perfect, the perfect quarterback for the Gamecocks last year with the shitpo offensive line.
And that may be fair, but
it kind of makes you wonder why Lenore Sellers didn't get more use.
Yeah, there's that. But ST with a good comment on the other shoe. He did help Leggett get picked first round. And look, that's fair too. But you've had wide receivers come out of South Carolina that are good, including Dabo Samuel, one of the best in the NFL. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's completely different when it comes to quarterbacks. Matthew says nothing against USC, but NFL people, right or wrong, are probably thinking, what does Beamer know about what it takes to be an NFL QB?
Well, I mean, he worked with Jalen Hurts. He worked with Kyler Murray. Who else? Baker Mayfield?
Right. Look, I think all of that's great, but in the end, they're more likely to talk with those guys with Lincoln Riley than what the tight end coach is saying. You know what I'm saying? I think that's fair,
well,
right?
He was also, to be fair, he was also tabbed the assistant head coach. I don't know if that's just a title they gave him to give him a little bit more money or something, because I really don't think that he was making a whole lot of decisions out there.
I just think that it came down to this. Yes, they may have, if these NFL folks had never seen him, okay, and sometimes they can't go and see every quarterback, all right? But if they've never gotten a chance to sit and interview this guy, whatever, and they get his game tape, they can see that he's a hell of a quarterback, and they can see, all right, he can do this, he can do that, but they see the character stuff from the QB1 thing, and maybe that weighs on him a little bit. But then they're like, wait a minute, why in the hell was he at South Carolina? Why would you go as a quarterback to South Carolina knowing you're going to be rebuilding a program? You're going to be playing behind an offensive line that has been the shits.
Yeah, but they didn't know that and when he went there in 2022. It was a chance he was going. It's an SEC program that needed a quarterback. He knew he was going to be the guy. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, it wouldn't be rebuilding a program. They were coming off a winning season. All right, they're coming off a bowl win. 7-6 is a winning season. I mean, after the debacle that was 2020, I mean, it was pretty dang, things were looking up. Sharif with a good comment over in the comment section. If we all had a camera following us in high school, would we all be so mature? Give me a break. Exactly.
I'm with you on that. I think that the idea that they're taking, I mean, Rattler was what, 16, 17 at the time, and you're putting what, 16 or 17.
Those are lazy. Those are lazy narratives to me. They really, really are.
Very lazy. Drew with a good point here. He knew Beamer. Remember that. Yeah, and that's fair. He had a relationship with Beamer because Beamer was there with him, and he thought, all right, that this could be cool. I will give Rattler this. He did his little the Gamecock X account put out a video from Rattler, and he thanked Beamer and the fans, and he made sure to thank Loggins, which I thought was interesting. Nothing for, Satterfield or any of those other guys. I don't think that ever worked at all. But under if you're just looking at it, he had much better numbers under Satterfield as the offensive coordinator than he did with Loggins. But he was sure to thank Loggins, which is
he had more yards. He had more yards with Loggins as offensive coordinator by like 100, and he played in one more game in 2022, even though Satterfield, I don't think Satterfield had anything to do with the bowl game, but he was the offensive coordinator of record.
Yeah. Well, that's my big thing. You don't look to South Carolina and think, wow, there's great quarterbacks that are coming from there as far as NFL folks go. And I think until maybe Rattler goes in and he plays well, and then maybe some of that smoke will come out of it, and they're like, oh, well, Rattler played there. Maybe they know how to develop quarterbacks. But I think a lot of it came down to, we get defensive ends and defensive backs from South Carolina, not quarterbacks. Maybe a wide receiver every now and then. I'm thinking that's what happened. But what do I know? Hopefully they didn't hold what he said in that QB1 thing against him, because that's just stupid.
I can't believe we had an offensive lineman get drafted. That blows my mind. But I guess
he was drafted ahead of Rattler.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, okay. I didn't know where he was drafted at.
He was in the seventh round. He was late. He was late, but like I said in the video today, I guess that offensive line was so horrible last year that I really, didn't even notice that he played decent. And I mean, I didn't even think that he even played that well. I guess I just saw some intangibles in him. Or some things that could be well, I don't want to say developed, because by the time you're ready to go to the NFL, you're ready to be developed. I think Gargiulo is a very smart player, and you got to be smart. You got to be very intelligent, highly intelligent, to be an offensive lineman in the NFL. I mean, you have to be. So that's probably a something that worked out in his favor.
Couple of comments I want to put out there. Drew says, congrats to Xavier Thomas. I hope he makes Jackpot proud in the NFL.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I'm sure it will. He'll probably be the steal of the 2024 draft.
I got nothing for you with that clown.
I know.
Sharif says, Rattler literally changed Legette's life. Believe it or not, he's a first-round pick because of Rattler. Legette even said that. That is fair. He had to have somebody throwing in the ball. So there's that. I love you. I think Spencer Rattler's better than the fifth round. I think he's better than at least three of the guys that were picked ahead of him. Now he's got to go through
his press conference after he got drafted when he was at home, or when they were talking to him about getting the call from the Panthers. Legette. You got to love him.
Yeah,
that has got to be the most hillbilly black dude that I have ever had the pleasure of hearing in my life. I mean, this guy was out wrestling boars over the summer. He was hunting. He had pictures of himself out in the swamp somewhere out there in Marion County with his dog and this damn thing with two big tusks and this damn nasty ass thing that he'd shot. But he's like, I praise God and everything. I got on with the Panthers, man. I'm wild down here. Yeah, I love it. Love it.
He sounds like he's just a country boy. There ain't no shame in that. There's a reason that they didn't have him doing a lot of interviews at South Carolina. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, he
wasn't the best.
That Mississippi State game when both teams had like 600 yards of offense in that game, and he said that's about the first touchdown crash. He said, What'd you say after you? What happened? What was going through your mind when you talked to me? I said, "Oh shoot, I just seen straight green grass."
That guy's funny. So there's
He's
that.
from Mullins, South Kakalaki. I've spent many a day there when I was working with Roses. That was where my little office store was. So that's pretty cool.
Let's answer Sharice's question here. He goes, Rob, do you think old Dabo hangs his multiple draft picks this year as another excuse not to use the transfer portal again? Dabo Sweeney he doesn't use anything for as far as that goes. He just doesn't do it. He doesn't need an excuse. He has no problem looking you in the face and saying, I don't know about my program like that. So I think he's wrong. I really, really do. But on the other hand, I mean, he's at this point now where he's like a professor that's got tenure. You can't really say shit to him because he can just look at you and then look at the 2 national championship trophies he's got. And that's a hell of a thing to have there, So I don't even know what else to say to Dabo about that stuff with the transfer portal because he's not going to change his mind, I mean, that's just the way that it is. Let's
Jake
see here.
says, why do you support
any other
Rutgers
draft
and
picks that
Penn
maybe
State? Why do I support Rutgers and Penn State? I spent a lot of time up in that area of the country, especially on vacation and stuff. I've been to a Rutgers game. I want to go to a Penn State game. That's on my bucket list of things to do. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Why not?
Jackpot should go to, if you're going to go to a Rutgers or a Penn State game, you need to go to the whiteout game. I can see you there dressed all white, looking like a tampon sitting in the stands like they do. That'd be perfect for you.
I'd look like an extra large Kotex.
That would be funny. No, I mean, it's just, they just look stupid all sitting there all dressed like a cotton tip, waving flags. What the hell are you doing?
Shit, that's fucking,
I don't get that.
Electric, man. What are you talking about? Stupid. That's electric. Clemson just wishes they had an atmosphere like that.
Oh, Jesus. The comrade says, do you think Xavier Thomas should sue Clemson for costing him so much money? He was a 5th-rated player coming out of high school and was a day 3 draft pick. That's sad. Oh, well, we could talk about the players from South Carolina. That's a point, but we could talk about players from South Carolina that were screwed over by various coaches. And we could talk about that if you want, but we don't need to do that tonight. Brandon McElwain, do you want to go there? Do you want to bring that back? We can do that if you want. We can talk about all the lies that
opportunities to play. Guy wasn't very good.
He was told by the head coach at South Carolina, you're going to be our QB1, and he was lied to. I mean, this is stuff that's all over the place. He was the number 1
good
in the country.
I forgot all about that.
With all that.
You are.
Colby, welcome to the program.
What's up, Rob? What's up, Carolina Jackpot?
What's going on?
Oh, not much. Just waiting for Monday to start.
But Monday.
Hey, Rob. Since you're a Clemson fan, my Atlanta Falcons got, I think it was Rook. Is that how you pronounce his name? Rook? I can't pronounce his last name.
Rook Oruru.
Oruru. Okay. Well, what would you give the? I know Atlanta is going to get an F overall with the Michael Penix draft, but with that pick, what would you give him?
I think they could have waited and gotten Oruru later in the draft. The pick
what position is Oruru? Is he a D lineman?
He's a defensive lineman. Yeah. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but the Falcons, their issue is for some reason they've had like 4 straight years where they've drafted an offensive player with their first pick. Someone needs to tell them there's a defensive side of the ball. If they really wanted to make a statement. They've already paid Cousins this money, 4 years, $100 million. What they should have done was they should have tried to draft Nate Wiggins, or even the defensive back from Toledo. That's the highest rated defensive back there. One of those D-backs to go along with AJ Terrell on the other side. Then you've got 2 shutdown corners, and then you can go from there. But the idea of, we're going to put – I think they were talking about, Penix may not see the field for 5 years. What the fuck are you drafting him for with the first-round pick if he's not going to see the field in 5 years?
Well, also, Rob, you have to think how old he is right now. He's older than Stetson Bennett is right now.
What's that? I'm sorry?
He's an old guy. What is he, like 20, 25, 26 years old
26.
right now?
Yeah.
But anyway, hey, Rob, Rob, I wanted to itch your brain real quick. I'm a big Georgia fan. I know you're a big Clemson fan, and I'm sorry we all can't be perfect, but you're a Clemson fan. Can we pray for him? Yeah, we can pray. We can pray. Yeah, just like I did with the Braves when we won in the 10th inning. I know you watched that, Rob. I know you're a big Braves fan. Can we bet a friendly $20 bet on the Georgia Clemson game week 1?
I think the only respectfully, sir, the only bet that I'm taking, unless Jackpot wants to bet with me, is the bet that I'm doing with Peg and Megan. And we've got some crazy thing that we're doing where one of us is going to end up wearing something stupid. I think that Georgia will have the ability to cover the spread.
Wait, hold on.
You should just do a bet on the points on that. Or something.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll give you 14.5 points, Rob.
No, I'm talking about like a total. A team total.
Like total.
Yeah.
Well, also, but Peck
41.5.
Remember, last week he was a coward. He would not take. He said that Georgia was going to be up 31-0 at the half, but he wouldn't give me 31 points and Clemson.
Okay, that's fine.
So,
I'm not whoever that is that you're talking about, though. I'm talking to you straight up, man to man. I will give you 14.5 points if you don't have the balls to drop 14.5 points. Then that's fine. If you don't believe in your Clemson Tigers, then that's okay.
Respectfully, the line is 12 right now, and I don't think that's a good bet at all because I think that Georgia is going to cover it.
So what you're saying is you don't believe in your Clemson Tigers?
No, sir. Not at this juncture. Not with the offense that they have and the guys that they've had that have left.
Wow. So,
I don't have any faith in them.
Give me a point spread then, Rob.
I don't know. 24 points.
24. I'll meet you in the middle and say let's do 20.5 points.
I'm sorry, what?
20.5 points.
All right, fair enough.
Surely to God. I mean, the Gamecocks lost to that team by 10 last year. Surely to God.
All right, so Rob, 20.5 points. You have a bet down?
Sure, why not?
All right. Remember, I have Venmo, so when you don't come to the Slop Olympics like you promised, unlike my friend Carolina Jackpot over here, you can pay me through Venmo, not through cash, hand to hand.
Whatever you want to go with, man.
To be fair, I didn't go this past year, but I want to go next year. But they're talking about doing a cruise, and I don't know if I can do that. I might get seasick.
All right, Rob, 20.5 points.
20.5 points. Thank you, sir. All right, Colby joining the program.
You're welcome.
Happy with his.
You're welcome. Oh, you're welcome.
All right.
Speaking of the Slob Olympics
anyway, what's up?
and stuff and slobs and other YouTubers, did y'all see where BVD damn near burned his foot off? He did a live stream earlier. He's in the hospital. I guess he fell asleep in front of his heater, and he burned his foot. I don't know I don't know. I guess he don't have any feeling in that foot or something, and so maybe he didn't know. But like his foot's burned up, and he said he's waiting on the foot doctor to come tomorrow to see him. Like, dang, he can't catch a break. He really can't. It's rough. Roll Tide
That is
99
rough.
says, question is for Jackpot. What do you think of Rattler going to the 5th round of the Saints? Most likely to hit behind Derek Carr. Well, I mean, he's going to be sitting behind a veteran, like a 10-year NFL veteran, and learning from him. There's also another QB2 there in Jake Hayner. Rattler's better than him. So, in a couple of years, whenever Carr either retires, moves on, or whatever happens to him, I fully expect Spence to be able to take his job and roll with it. I mean, I think the Saints picked up. I think they picked up. I think they got the most value out of that draft of anybody. Really, really do. And I'm not being, I'm not being biased here. I really think that he's going to make somebody happy.
Well, that's the thing. At least he'll have an opportunity. I don't think that they drafted him to be a tackling dummy. You know what I'm saying? So he'll have an opportunity. Kind of one way to look at it, I don't think he's going to go there and at least be given some snaps. So it'll be interesting the first preseason games to see how many snaps he'll get. So. Billy says Rattler makes the 6th QB on the Saints roster. Well, they'll cut some of those guys.
Yeah.
Shit. Most teams carry 5 or 6 quarterbacks anyway, and then they'll end up with 3 total.
You
So
only have
that.
a 53-man roster.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't afford to carry, but what, 3?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way, because you gotta have offensive line. You gotta have a guy behind every one of them. Same thing on the defense. I mean, you gotta have 22 and 22. So.
Yeah. So, who gets to claim Rattler, Oklahoma or South Carolina? I mean, I think it's South Carolina. I don't think he's running around with an Oklahoma hat.
No, he was no. So, he left there. He was not happy when he left there. I mean, just to be fair, when they're talking about character, people when they were 16, 17 years old, showing their ass on a Netflix TV show. We've also got to think about another young man who went number 1 overall, who, a year ago, when he's 20, 21 years old, painting "fuck Utah" on his fingernails for the whole world to see in front of God and everybody. I mean, yeah.
That doesn't matter, Jackpot. No, I get what you're saying. It's a mess. Let's just leave it at that. Anyway, any other draft picks that made you turn your head a little bit? I thought that Xavier Thomas getting picked where he was.
Why is Michael Penix getting picked up by the Falcons? I mean, why is everybody losing their fucking shit over this? He's a good player.
Because but let's just say that you think that he's a great player. That's awesome. You just signed a guy 4 years, $100 million guaranteed to be your quarterback. That's why everybody's pissed off about it. It has nothing to do with Penix. They got Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
So they spent all that money against the cap, where even let's say Penix comes in and he lights the world on fire, best quarterback in the history of time, you're still paying Kirk Cousins $100 million to do nothing, and they're stuck with him. So drafting that quarterback was just silly.
I got out of the freezer, Daddy.
He's old though. Cousins, he's older than fuck, isn't he?
He's 32, 33 or something like that. But, I mean, he's coming off of an Achilles injury, and I don't know how great he's going to be. I don't know. But, I mean, he's like that hamburger Rockabilly 864 had the other day at that one place where you opened up the box and you said, it's just kind of mid. That's kind of what he is. He's kind of a mid quarterback.
He's not
going to hurt you. Yeah, he's not going to hurt you, but he's not going to to go and beat somebody stupid either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's
Andy says he's 37. So
sure. I mean, I don't know how old he is. I know that all I know is that he's got a 4-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons, making $100 million guaranteed.
Gator Tooth Jones says my roommate is from California, and he puts lipstick on. Well, you know what they always call that? That's the land of fruits and nuts.
No. How many players will be suspended from the Clemson game? I don't know. That's a good question.
For who?
I don't know. He's asking. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know about that one, buddy. That's a good question. Jay Rice says, will Ashford see the field at South Carolina? Yes. Someone has to bring the towels and the water buckets and carry Lenora Sellers' bag. So he'll see the field there. I don't know what else to see the field for. Jackpot, come on, man. That guy's been the shits. You know that as well as I do.
He's not. Yeah. He look, I don't know. I just don't see him seeing a lot of time in there because when they put him in, there's no mystery as to what he's going to do. He's in there to either get a direct snap and run the ball, or we're just going to go with a straight running game. If he's in there, they can't. They are not going to let that guy pass the ball. They can't be letting him throw it, not in any meaningful time.
I don't think that's going to happen at all, to be honest with you.
Although he did throw the first completion, I guess, the first real, not real completion because that counts as a real game, to young Mazio Bennett. He was able to kind of pick one up off the shoe tops for a reception from Ashford.
Yeah, there you go.
12-yard pickup there. So if he turns out to play in the NFL and be a star one day, he can. Remember, like I caught my first college pass from Robbie.
I don't think there's any Georgia players. Yeah, I don't think there's any Georgia players suspended. The carry-on Joyner, by the way, Jackpot. I don't know if
spring is still not over with, sir. The offseason is still not over with.
We've got 2 more days in the transfer portal window here, but there's also the other thing. Joyner got an invite to the Seattle Seahawks rookie camp. So maybe he'll get play. Yeah. So there's that.
I saw that Marion Brown got some kind of invite. He got somebody gave him something.
Yeah, there's the guys. Hold on, I got him right here. We'll talk about them really quick since we're talking about this. The last time we talked about the NFL draft before the next time the draft comes around. Let's see here. Hold on, Jackpot. I got it right here. All right, here's some of the free agent signings. Joyner to Seattle. Trey Knox has signed with the Vikings. O'Marion Brown signed with Cleveland. Furman tight end Mason Pline signed as a free agent with the Niners. Paladin offensive lineman Jake Johanning signed with the Raiders. Clemson center Will Putnam signed with the Raiders. And South Carolina State defensive tackle Jablonski Green is going to minicamp with the Colts. So there you go. There you go with that.
Wow.
All right. Well, anyway, Jackpot. The Kentucky Wildcats came into Columbia as one of the hottest baseball teams in the country. Gamecocks took 2 of 3 from them. And
should have swept them. But Kentucky with quite an offensive outburst yesterday. They hit 2. They had a couple of sets of back-to-back homers in that game, I believe.
Well, there's also this. According to the UK baseball coach Nick Mingione, if I mispronounce his name, I'm sorry. But he said on the SEC network that the Kentucky dugout had beer dumped on them by South Carolina fans, and players got wet.
Okay, well, I mean, you dump beer. I mean, players aren't going to get dry.
I don't even know where to go with that. It's just like, what in the hell is going on
my
here?
God.
You know?
Fucking cry about it. I mean, what the fuck? What a pussy. Seriously,
Yeah.
I mean, you're a Division I athlete. You're out here playing a sport. I mean, I equate that. Ooh, it's almost like being a pro wrestler. I mean, I mean, there's anything's liable to happen to you. You know, I mean, you got to have a thick skin. So what? If they dump beer on you, it means they don't like you, I guess. And if they don't like you, then you did your job at some point. I mean, in wrestling, by being an asshole, and you got paid for that. And in college sports, that means the visiting team or the home team doesn't like you because maybe you're better than them and you beat them or you won a game against them or something. Don't be a bitch.
Look, if I'm in the stands and I'm a Gamecock fan, I'm going to be upset with Kentucky because I would rather have Kentucky's coach than the idiot that's coaching South Carolina. So maybe I'm just a little jealous of that. Maybe that's part of it.
Matthew says, "Why am I dumping beer on people? I wouldn't dump beer on anybody. I'd drink it."
Dylan, welcome to the program. Turn down whatever.
Yeah, turn it down. You sound like you got a mouthful of marbles.
Okay.
Oh, Dylan.
Yeah.
Dylan.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Why didn't Ray Davis get drafted higher than he did?
Because he's 5.
NFL teams don't spend a whole lot of money on running backs because they don't have a long shelf life.
Yeah.
Isn't that true, Rob?
All right, I gotta cut him out because the echo was killing me.
Well,
there.
we'll talk about that. Isn't that not true? I mean, I think that a lockdown corner in the league commands more money nowadays than a running back. I think it's kind of like a. I'm not saying it's a dead position or a dying position, but I don't think that it's as much of a focal position in the NFL as it once was.
Yeah, and I'll give you another example of this. I want to make sure give you the right age here. So Todd Gurley, remember Todd Gurley? You know, probably one of the best running backs we've seen from Georgia. I think that's fair.
I remember him well.
Todd Gurley is 29, and he's out of the NFL.
Wow, it's hard. It's hard to believe he's still that young. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's 29, and he's out of the NFL. So
I remember the last time we saw him would have been in 2014 when he played the Gamecocks. So he was only 19 then?
Yes, sir. He was born in August of 1994. So he's 29 years old. He turns 30 this August. But to give you the
damn.
So I'm looking at it here in 2015 for the Rams. He had 1,294 yards from scrimmage. That's catching and receiving. His best year was 2017, where he had 2,093 yards of total yards there with 19 total touchdowns. The guy was just electric. In 2018, he had 17 touchdowns on the ground. But he gets to 2020, and he's playing for the Falcons. He finishes with 842 total yards and 9 touchdowns. But now he's not even in the league. So that's why you don't draft any of these guys, because they're not going to be in the league long. It's just the way that it is, to be honest with you. But, I mean, that's the way that the NFL works, man. All right. Let's see here. Jackpot, what else? Do we have anything else you want to get out there this evening, sir?
They're talking about Nick Chubb. Randall asked who it was that got their leg or their knee hurt against Tennessee when they ran out of bounds. It was Nick Chubb. I got the picture. Remember the Tennessee frat houses had one of them had the bed sheet with banner painted up for, I guess, when they played Georgia the next time in Neyland Stadium. It said something about that Georgia's going to get blown out just like Chubb's knee.
That's a shitty thing to say.
They did. They had. There's a picture of it, and the thing was, Georgia won that game. Not the one where Chubb's knee got blown out, but the one the subsequent one, 41-0.
Oh,
I mean, yeah.
Well,
It was
anyway.
nasty too. Did you ever see a picture of that?
Yeah, I don't like to watch those things, Jackpot.
Yeah, like his leg, like a still picture. It's like a picture, not a video. But like his freaking dude's leg was like his knee was almost like touching the bottom of his chin.
God damn it, Jackpot.
And his leg, I mean, it's just
Gamecock Chuck says, "What do you think about Coach Paris bringing Nick Pringle back home?"
I think it's awesome. I mean, everybody's really excited about it. I mean, he didn't average that many points for Alabama last year, but I mean, I know he was a big part of their offense. I mean, he played a lot against Clemson in that Elite Eight game and was a big part of them. Him and Mr. Sears, I guess. Sears went bankrupt everywhere except for when it was playing Clemson. But anyway, he I know he did well against Clemson. So yeah, Devin says Paris is recruiting his ass off. He is. He's actually going out there performing like a coach who just got a big raise. Perhaps someone else needs to take a maybe.
I think that Paris is doing it the way that, I mean, the idea of, hey, why should I go and develop these kids from high school when I can let somebody else develop them that first year, get all the yips and everything out of their shots and all that, and then bring them here and they're a more polished product. I think that's the way that Paris is doing it, and I think that, I don't like Brad Brownell, but he's doing it too. And I don't think it, like, we're going to go into next year, Jackpot, and no one's going to give South Carolina or Clemson a snowball's chance in hell whenever they go to Operation Basketball for the ACC or whatever it is they have for the SEC. No one's going to give them a shot in hell of being anything, and they may go out and win the damn league like the Gamecocks last season, because you don't know who the hell's on your roster. You really don't. So you go to Operation Basketball, they want you to put your all ACC, SEC team here and how people are going to finish. I swear to you, if I go back to Operation Basketball, the only thing I would write on there is who the fuck knows? Because you have no clue who's going to do well, and nobody knows how great these teams are going to be because you don't know how they're going to mesh. You really don't.
I'll tell you, going into next season, I'm telling you one that I'm going to keep a close eye on in the SEC. I'm not saying that because we got some of their fans in here. I'm going to keep an eye on Georgia. I think they're poised to, maybe make a run into the NCAA tournament in 24-25. They finished up last year pretty strong, man. Really did.
One other thing before we get out of here, and for me anyway, I love watching the NBA playoffs. It's hilarious to me. Look at these NBA teams, and they've got all these great Kentucky players, Devin Booker and Jamal Murray and all these guys. It's like, how did Kentucky – Karl Towns, who's playing tonight, played at Kentucky, but how could they not win more championships under Calipari? If I'm a Kentucky fan, I'm watching the NBA, and all these guys are there. You got one title, but all these guys are in the NBA now. It's like ridiculous. And one final thing. Rudy Gobert is the center for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He is a 7'6" piece of shit. I hope he gets dunked on every game. I can't stand that clown. That guy. He's 7'6".
Jake says Jackpot and Kale. I think he means Jackpot and Rob. Jackpot and Rob. Are there more South Carolina or Clemson fans in South Carolina?
I don't know.
knowing that South Carolina is one of these states. What do you call a state that is like a destination state for transplants? What do you call that?
A snowbird state.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of people that have moved here in the past decade from up north, Florida, all kinds of places. A lot of them find new teams to pull for because I mean, let's face it. I mean, ain't nobody around here hanging the UMass or the Yukon flag, or whatever. And especially those from up north. I mean, they kind of adopt this, and I found this out a lot when I was working for Ingalls over in Easley, South Carolina. Yeah, I had more people from New York and New Jersey coming into my store than people that lived right around there because there were a lot of transplants and they're all pulling for fucking Clemson. And I'm like, this is crazy that just, in 2012, I saw Gamecock flags everywhere. And then all of a sudden, these people take those Gamecock flags and they put them in the trunk and they put the Clemson flags up. So I think that it matters which team having more success at that time because we have so many new people moving to this state who have to adopt a team. And lately, I mean, that's been Clemson. So, I mean, I dare say it might be them, even though it's a smaller university in the smaller footprint or whatever. I mean, it might be. I mean, I don't know. I may be wrong in saying that. I don't know. I don't know that there's any way that you could. I don't know that there's any way that you could. What's the word, Rob? Calculate that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
get the data on that. I do think that there's a big batch of Fairweather fans that come through.
I guess it would. You could off merchandise sales, but then again, there's no way to accurately count that either because you have stuff getting sold on Amazon. There's just no way.
Look, there was a year where they did like the whole merchandise numbers or whatever in South Carolina.
I know that at one time UNC and like the Chicago Bulls, I think, and maybe the Lakers and the Celtics and what the fucking Cowboys, I think, were like the most marketable teams in their respective whatevers. I know Miami was in like the late 80s, early 90s. Hell, everybody wanted to fucking, when I was in middle school, everybody wanted that damn Miami Hurricane starter jacket.
Well, I want a Charlotte Hornets starter jacket. I'm not even a Charlotte fan. I'd like a Phoenix one too.
I would. Oh, you talking about from back in the day?
Yeah, like I want remember the those starter jackets were outstanding. So
dude, there was a show on Netflix. It came out. It's still on there. It's called Swap Shop. It came out a couple of years ago. It only had like one season, but it was like this radio station, like this old AM radio station in some town in Tennessee. And it was like it did like classified ads over the radio and said so and so says he's got a whole bunch of old baseball cards and bottles and sports stuff that he's selling at his house, and he's giving it away at the rock bottom prices to the first bidders. And all these people would like jump in their trucks and go run up there and get it. Like one guy run an antique shop, and some of them sold on Amazon or whatever. And it was really cool. And there was this one group. There was these two dudes. There was a white dude and a black dude, and they bought up like old sports, old vintage sportswear. Like they would go in thrift shops and look for old vintage sportswear. I'm like, that is so fucking cool, man. I mean, I love that stuff. I've got some old vintage sportswear here. It's not real vintage, but I just bought some at a Goodwill in Hartwell, Georgia. I think it was like last summer. I've got an Albany Polecats baseball cap, circa 1994, that I bought for $5, and I looked it up on eBay. And somebody was selling the same thing for like $50. Carolina Mudcats. I don't think that's even a team anymore. And I bought a hat for one of their hats from Goodwill. Oh, by the way, the Bud Light sign that I had, the football,
Right.
It's out for repairs. One of the neon tubes was broke in it. That's why when you plug it up, you can see it spark, but it wouldn't light up. So I took it to this place in Spartanburg, and this guy told me, he said, I was in luck. He said, because he was one of 3 shops in the upstate that had somebody that came around that actually worked on neon, because like nobody uses that anymore, apparently. He says, so what he'll do is I'm just going to leave it at this guy's shop, his sign shop, and the dude will come around and look at it, and he'll call me and tell me how much it's going to cost to fix it. He said, if it's like $300 or something, you don't want to pay it, you can just come pick it up. And I said, well, if it's $300, I'm not paying it. Like I said, 150 is like going to be my cap on that. But yeah, so hopefully we'll have the Bud Light sign lit up soon, because I do want to light that up for football season. But then again, I also want to sell it, make a profit.
Well, Jackpot, would you wear, like I was just showing some of the starter jackets there? Would you wear?
Pull that up again.
Yeah. So this is the Phoenix one. I was looking at the Charlotte one. Like when I was a kid, I always wanted one of these, but like look at the Charlotte one, just looks like, the Charlotte one looks really, really retro. Very good, Karen K over there. Let's look at the images on this one. Let's see here.
Yeah, I mean, Charlotte was one of the first teams that really brought out some like vibrant colors that was really popular, like in the late 80s, early 90s. I think up until then, I mean, like everybody was really boring. It was like some dark blues and navy and purples, and I mean, they were like really bringing it. You know what I mean? Like that teal color and that stuff, that was really popular then, not just with the Hornets.
Would you wear that though? That's pretty cool. I mean, the Hornets are a shit team, but like that's pretty cool looking.
I mean, like I wouldn't wear it, but I'd put it in my collection. But like back in the day when I was a kid, yeah, I would. And how much do they want for that?
$98.
Well, hell, that's probably cheaper than it was when it was new.
Yeah, I'm looking to see. Like, I remember everybody wanted one of the Bulls ones because Michael Jordan.
Those things were really expensive back in the day. Like that pair of Jordans was like $500 back in the mid '80s, and you wouldn't think that. But like a lot of stuff was that people wouldn't think. Like TVs, like I mean, like to get a TV set like back when we were, 10, 11 years old. I mean, those things were like $600-$700.
Let's see if they got one for the Bulls, because I remember everybody wanted one with the Bulls.
Yeah, everybody wanted the Bulls.
That's pretty cool with the. That's the actual. No, that's not the actual starter jacket though. Yeah, these are like knockoffs, but the actual starter jacket. Here you go. These are on eBay. Let's see if it'll. I have to verify myself. Just, I am a human. Screw off. Oh, goodness. I just want to check it. Holy crap. All right, so there you go. Yeah, like, look at that one, Jackpot. That's pretty cool looking there.
What, the sunflower or the... Oh, no, never mind. We're okay.
This is the vintage 90s starter jacket. $190 is what people want for one of those.
Oh, yeah, those are nice. Those are nice.
I'm not a fan, but I'd wear a Suns one. I don't know if I'd wear the Hornets one was cool.
I bet you look at the first Orlando Magic and the first Miami Heat stuff.
All right, hold on. I'll bring the
late 80s
jacket. Orlando. Those were different looking. The ones like Shaq wore, right?
Yeah. Like I said, people really like those colors and stuff. I mean, it was like those new teams, like they really went, all out with like just.
Look at this. This actually, the style on this is actually kind of cool looking. Let's see here. Yeah, look at this one, Jackpot. Boom. That's kind of cool looking with the white and the. Yeah, that's kind of neat. That's different. Yeah, and it's officially licensed.
Now, are Orlando's colors and their logo? Because I honestly, I don't hardly watch any NBA. Are their colors and their logo significantly different than that now?
No, they're pretty much the same colors now. They still got the blue and white and black, basically.
What about the Spurs? Haven't the Spurs like totally changed up their color scheme?
Oh, the Spurs.
Because remember, they used to be like the silver and black.
Yeah, I think I don't know where now. Let's see if we can.
Jerry says, "Does Roses sell decent clothes?" Answer would be no. Wrangler jeans, they have those for a good price. Used to be $9.99 a pair. I think they went up to $11.99 or something right now, which is still a good deal for a pair of Wranglers. But
look at here's the Spurs one that you were talking about. Let's see here. Yeah, like they have the different. That's kind of cool looking there with the white and the black, I guess. Yeah, that's different. That was different for the times, but yeah. But I remember everybody wanted the Bulls one. Now, not so much. But I'd probably still wear a Hornets one, just because the colors are cool looking, you know. All right. Anyway, yeah, that's David Robertson era Spurs right there. Very good, sir.
Yeah.
Todd says any jeans really good. That's a good point.
I mean, I'm trying to think of some other cool too. I know there was a surge. People like Montreal Expo shit too. If they can get their hands on it, that's like some retro pop culture type stuff that people I'm like, nobody gave a flying fuck about them when they were a team. And y'all didn't want to show up to their damn games. Like 5,000 of y'all a night showed up to their games, and they moved to Washington. But now, like, everybody wants to wear their shit. Is that how the Oakland A's are going to be in 30 years? Dude, I was looking at some attendances from last week. You know, like on a Wednesday night game I think it was last week or the week before, the Oakland A's, they had like 2,500 people at a game.
Right. I think I read somewhere that the Columbia
down close to 3 digits.
the Columbia Fireflies were drawing more fans than the Oakland A's for some of their weeknight games.
That is so unbelievable to me. I mean, when we were growing up, when I was, what, 8th, 9th grade, you remember Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire on the team. I mean, they were, world champ. I mean, no, they didn't. Did they win the world championship? I think
they did. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They lost to the Dodgers one year, right? But then did they beat the Giants the next year?
Yeah, something like that. The Earthquake series, yeah.
Yeah, and then they also played the Reds too, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Who won that one? Was it?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. But anyway, I mean, who would have thought that back then? That if this franchise is just totally going to fall apart. It's because Oakland's a shithole, and they won't pay for a new stadium. So I guess.
A's won the World Series in 1989. They won the AL pennant in 88, 89, and 90. They won the West Division in 2020 and then 2013, 2012, etc. But they haven't been the shits. But now they're going to be playing in freaking Sacramento or in some AAA park next season. It's terrible.
So the Reds won it in 1990. That was the who was that guy? Rob Dibble, was that his name? That relief pitcher, Norm Charlton.
I don't know if Charlton was on that team. He might have been.
Yeah, they were like the pitcher. They were like this nasty duo that would come in and clean up games for them. I think.
Yeah,
Barry Larkin.
Series in 1990, they swept the Oakland Athletics in 4 games.
That's hard to believe that the Reds won the World Series. So that would have been their last World Championships. Probably the last time they were in the playoffs. Well, no, I think they may have made like a wild card or something.
Marge Schott was the owner. Remember, she had her issues.
They've been dog shit. I think they may have played the Phillies a few years ago in like one of the wild card play-in wild card and lost it. But yeah,
I'm trying to find their roster because I want Let's see here.
Barry Larkin would have been on that team.
Tony Perez was on the team. He's a Hall of Famer.
Fucking Chili Davis. Was Chili Davis? No, he played for the Giants, right?
You're the
That's
Hall of
not
Fame.
Chili Bean. That's Chili Davis.
Chili Bean, yeah. Chili Bean's running the smoke shop. Barry Larkin and Tony Perez were the Hall of Famers from the Reds. From the Athletics, you got Tony
Concepcion was on that team.
Yeah. Harold Baines, Dennis Eckersley, and Ricky Henderson was on the Athletics team. The MVP was Jose Rijo. Rijo was the
Rijo.
The lineup for the Yankees had 3 former AL Rookies of the Year. They had Canseco,
Chris Sabo, Jerry Wells said. You remember him?
Yeah, I do.
Spud. They called him Spuds. That was the glasses.
Yeah. That's Jose Canseco, Mark McGuire, Walt Weiss were all on that in the middle of that A's line.
Terry Steinbach, maybe.
Also, find the roster for all of it. Dave Stewart, Dennis Eckersley were on that team, and Rob Dillon.
Was LaRusso the manager back then?
He was the manager for the A's, yes, sir. He was. But they were called the Nasty Boys because they had Norm Charlton.
Who was the Reds manager then? Was that Davey Johnson? Because I know he did manage them.
I don't know who the hell, but let's see here. Reds manager was Lou Piniella.
Oh, yeah. I know Davey Johnson managed the Reds at one time, though, after he managed the Mets.
Yeah, everybody tried to manage the Reds there for a little bit. Big
Lou
Bonnie Ross
managed the Mets. Dusty Baker managed the Reds.
Yeah. I was about to say, Big Barney Ross is our resident Cincinnati fan. Lou Alpina. I think I'm not putting Big Barney Ross's business out there, but I think he's a Red season ticket holder. So when he's not out there at your fuel point Kroger Field, like rooting on the Stupians, he's trying to watch the Reds games.
Yeah, you don't really think about it or realize it, but I mean they're neighbors. I mean it's just right there, and that's the closest MLB team. When I was in, I've been like out in the middle of nowhere, Indiana, in between Indianapolis and Cincinnati before, in a place called Gas City, Indiana. I spent a couple of days about 6 or 7 years ago. And I took my son up there to see one of his relatives who had cancer. That was actually my ex-wife's uncle, I think. And they were Reds fans up there because that's the closest team to the area.
All right. Well, I think we talked about all kind of bullshit tonight, Jack.
Yep, Gas City, yeah.
So there's that. Well, Jackpot, we got anything else before we get out of here? We're going to be back at it again on a Wednesday night, and we'll see how whatever comes our way. Getting ready to wrap. College baseball's in the back stretch right now.
Those Gamecocks, I'm telling you, you better watch out for them. I was pleasantly surprised, but it looks like, I don't know, Kentucky, is it like Kentucky basketball, football, and baseball? Are they all the same team? I mean, because every one of them starts out like a house of fire, and then they fall apart like a house of cards.
Well, to be fair, we talked about this last week where Kentucky, the front end of their schedule was like the football team. You're right. It was really light. And we were going to find out how good they were when they played the last 3 series or 4 series of the season, because they had like Tennessee, South Carolina, Arkansas, and somebody else. But they played a bunch of bums, Rock. They were hitting tin cans the first part of the season. They were just knocking them all off. So, we'll see how that works out for them. But
somebody said, well, they beat Alabama in a series, and Alabama's really good. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
Alabama.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yeah. I mean, they got run ruled today. I mean, that's piss poor by the Gamecocks. Ha ha.
Yeah.
And I missed it. I mean, I watched that game last night. I watched the entire last 2 innings of it, and I just totally spaced it today and forgot they were even playing. I was like, fuck. I'm like, I looked on Twitter and I saw we won. I was like, shit, let me look. And I looked at the score and I saw we run ruled it with 10-0 in the seventh. I was like, fuck. How could I missed it?
Jackpot sent me a picture last night, and apparently Rob has an SEC bias, is a relief pitcher for Kentucky. Yeah. We'll have to
Yes,
show
he
you that
is.
next time.
And he almost blew it for him last night, too. I wish
Yeah.
he had, but he did not.
It was like a softball game last night. What, like 16-15 was the final or some nonsense? I mean, it was stupid. So
Big Barney Ross says Billy Cole can remember when the Pirates started singing "We Are Family" and beat everyone. That would have been 1979. National League champs played the Baltimore Orioles and Earl Weaver in the World Series.
yeah.
We are Who they have? Willie Stargell on that team.
Brother, we're starting to show our age a little bit, remembering all this old shit.
Yeah,
You know?
I don't really remember that like vividly, but I was old enough to, a few years after that happened to know that it in fact happened. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, we've had a good time this evening. We appreciate all you guys tuning in for the show.
Does anybody out there did you one more thing? They were back in the in 1979. Speaking of that, the Chicago White Sox. They used to play in old Comiskey Park in Chicago, and like the disco music was like the craze in the 70s, but I guess by 1979, like people had gotten sick of it. And so like the guy who owned the White Sox was like this crazy owner who had all these fucking crazy promotions and shit that they would do to try to get fans there. So, like one night in the summer of 1979, they had a disco demolition night where, like, you got in, for like $1 or something if you brought your disco records, and they were good, and they destroy them after the game. It was the disco demolition night. So, like, it was like this crazy scene, like you've got 25,000 people like breaking all these damn disco records on the field at Comiskey Park, and I think they started throwing them like before the game was over and shit. And they had to call the game or something, or they had to forfeit the game, and maybe they were ahead because all their fans were throwing fucking records on the field. What a damn mess!
It was a mess. I don't. It's. There was a Netflix doc about that where they did the whole thing behind the scenes about how that all happened. And
dude, there's a YouTube video out there. It was like the craziest ending to an NFL game, and I watched the NFL all the time. I don't even remember this, but back in 2000, the Browns and the Jaguars played, and it was in Cleveland, and they had just some crazy shit ending to this game, like where the referees called an incomplete pass where this Browns player had clearly caught a ball. I can't remember what it was, but it was a playoff game, I think, or it was a regular season game. It was going to determine who went to the wild card. Anyway, I can't remember. But, I mean, these fans fucking lost it at Cleveland, and they were throwing beer bottles on the field. They were throwing shit at the referees, and these guys like had to cover up and duck through the tunnel and run through it. And I mean, they ended the game with like 20 something seconds to play. I mean, before those 20 something seconds ticked off the clock, but then like the NFL called and said, no, you have to like let the time tick off the clock. So like they started up the clock with nobody play. It was crazy. I don't know if you've ever seen that before or not, but that have you ever? You know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about.
That could have been like a real dangerous scene, man. They were throwing beer bottles at them, and that's crazy.
The disco demolition night. That's a very interesting thing there, but I don't know, man. You mentioned that, but for some reason, I like watching wrestlers talk about when guys hit the ring or whatever, and they beat the shit out of them. That for some reason that just makes me happy.
Well,
jump in the
apparently they used to take them back to the back and beat the shit out of them.
I beat the shit out of them in front of everybody. Don't be part of the. You're not part of the story, sir. Stop ruining it for everybody else. You know, what a mess.
Did you ever hear the one story where Jim Cornette was talking about what's his name, Jimmy Garvin,
Yeah.
when gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, when he was like wrestling with the Freebirds, like late in his career, which like seemed like so out of place to me. Like I go back and watch old stuff, and I can't even remember him being a Freebird. Like I didn't watch a lot of WCW at that time because that stuff was just garbage back in the early '90s. But we're all about watching this nostalgia now, and he was like he wouldn't sell like for like the Road Warriors and like the Midnight Express and these teams that he should have been like putting over because he's like a mid card dude, and like Cornette was talking about how one night they were in the Boston Garden wrestling, and like he wouldn't sell for fucking Dr. Death Steve Williams, and like he like when the thing was over with, like I don't know, he hit him with like some stiff shot or something, and like Dr. Death took like this like a wooden chair that they had like at ringside in the Boston Garden, and he like split it in half, and he just fucking took off and just whacked the shit out of him, and like he said, Garvin just screamed out "fuck," and Doc said "fuck with me," whack, and he'd go "fuck," and he'd say "fuck with me," whack, and then this whole scenario lasted for like 5 or 6 repetitions, and then everybody went back to the dressing room. It was over, and like the Midnight went in their dressing room, was going to get into it with Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin, and said the only person that spoke up was old beautiful Bobby, and he said, "Hey, we just ain't here to put you guys over." Like he didn't ever even hardly talk. So that was crazy, like for him to speak up like that.
I like that kind of stuff, but I like it when it's like, oh, this guy got into the ring. He wasn't supposed to be there.
A few years ago, I splurged and spent like $350 on that Jim Cornette Midnight Express book that he put out like in 2009 with all their old match results and pictures of like the gates at the houses, and it just has all kind of information in it. But I've never really opened it up and looked at it because I don't want to like break the spine on it and make it look like it's been worn out. But it has his autograph, Stan Lane, Dennis Condrey, and Bobby Eaton, like all on the photograph of the front of it there. So, and it's in a plastic sleeve and it's put away. And dude, that thing's like doubled in value ever since beautiful Bobby passed away. So
someone sent me like a digital copy of that. Like they went through and took photographs of each page and like put it all in like a PDF so you could sift through it. If I can find that, I'll send that to you.
Well, send it to me. That would be really nice because like I have this thing. It's like really interesting, and like whenever I see it, I'm like, damn, I really want to look at that, but I don't because I'm not gonna fuck it up and then get my nasty grease covered fingerprints on it. And
yeah, but you'll look at the PDF where you could just sift through it there. That'd be kind of cool.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I'll see if I can find that. Let's see if we can get that. All right, well, it has been a great show this evening. Join us again on Wednesday, and we'll chat with you guys then. Thank you so much. We'll see you later on.